Hello everyone, I am Border, also known as Borderwise, and welcome to another roguelike commentary, which is also an RTS commentary at the same time because what we're playing is Bad North. So, Bad North is a real-time strategy slash tactics slash roguelike game. It's not brand new, it's been out for a while, but I was just looking in my Steam library and thinking to myself, like, okay, what games can we play? I was like, oh, I remember this. This is delightful. It's pretty straightforward, but it has great tactical and strategic depth. So, and also, I love how it presents Vikings as really bad news. So, we are going through the tutorial here, just because I was feeling a little bit rusty and wasn't sure how to play the damn game. So, you have your island, you have your soldiers. You right-click to move them around. We gotta defend our houses. And you gotta love the war horns that sound. There they are. And here come the Northmen. In this game, it gets complex. There's rock, paper, scissors with what units you have access to and what kind of Vikings are coming to murder your entire face and body. These guys are just the grunts, so they're not a huge problem, and this is the very first level, of course. Later ones get considerably more difficult. And I actually continue playing on with this very game, and it's important not to get greedy with Bad North. You might want to rescue as many islands as you can. Don't do that. You do need, I think, at least 3 squads to really be sure of, defending an island properly. I was being greedy and only had 2. You should have enough that, if one loses too many dudes, you can replenish them in houses, because that's what the houses are for. So that's our first victory right there. We killed 12 Northmen. Yeah, jolly good. Yay, Mackerel Mound! And we need to run like hell to the other islands and just save as many as we can. So I guess one thing we could talk about is Vikings and the depiction of them. I love how this depicts them because it depicts them, even though this is quite a stylized game, it depicts the Viking, the invasion period. Or I guess the migration period, I guess, in the early Middle Ages, late antiquity of just people just running around, sailing around, and this is me trying to remember how this works exactly. So yeah, the skulls and stuff on the left, you don't want to be there. I'm trying to keep ahead of the bloody Viking horde and stuff. Alright, so here is the next map. And this is me trying to remember how to play the damn game. Deploy, we got 2 dudes. And that's basically it. You've seen the gist of it. Currently we just have regular, I guess, grunts with little swords and such. But you also get pikemen, shield bearers, archers, that kind of thing, special abilities. And we'll discuss them as we go. In the meantime, I'm going to look up what the first paragraph of Viking on Wikipedia says. And we just murdered some just then, so that's very nice. Very, very nice indeed. Let's go here, and you see incoming Vikings, and it's important not to put your dudes in front of the boats when they hit the shore, because they get squashed. I found that out the hard way the first time I played this. Kill the Northmen. They invade. You kill them. Easy peasy. Alright, so if I type in Viking... Whoops! Viking... into the thing. Vikings Wikipedia. Okay. Okay. No, goddamn. I already donated. Stop asking me. I already donated. Go away. Close. Jeez. I give money to Wikipedia monthly now because, I can spare $2. But freaking hell, man. It's just they're really asking, which makes sense because they don't want to sell themselves. Yay, we won. Okay, Vikings is the modern name given to seafaring people originally from Scandinavia, which is present-day Denmark, Norway, and Sweden, who from the late 8th to the late 11th centuries raided, pirated, traded, and settled throughout parts of Europe. They also voyaged as far as the Mediterranean, North Africa, the Middle East, Greenland, and Vinland, present-day Newfoundland and Canada, North America. In their countries of origin and some of the countries they raided and settled in, this period is popularly known as the Viking Age, and the term Viking also commonly includes the inhabitants of the Scandinavian homelands as a whole. The Vikings had a profound impact on the early medieval history of Scandinavia, the British Isles, France, Estonia, and the Kievan Rus. Expert sailors and navigators of their characteristic longships, Vikings established Norse settlements and governments in the British Isles, the Faroe Islands, Iceland, Greenland, Normandy, and the Baltic coast. Oh, by the way, we've got shield dudes. Well, no, we've got pikemen now. Are you gonna do it? Are you gonna do it? I love pikemen in this game. Like, they can hold down a position like nothing else. It's fantastic. Where was I? Established Norse settlements and governments and blah blah blah, as well as along the Dnieper and Volga trade routes across modern-day Russia, Belarus, and Ukraine, where they were also known as Varangians. The Normans, Norse Gaels, Rus people, Faroese, and Icelanders emerged from these Norse colonies. At one point, a group of Rus Vikings went so far south that, after briefly being bodyguards for the Byzantine Emperor, they attacked the Byzantine city of Constantinople. Basically, the Vikings went all over the place. They were an impressive bunch. Oh, this is one of my favorite things to do with pikemen, because they really can just hold a position all by themselves. If you put them in a good one. Put them on top of a hill, they will poke Vikings down the hill, and it'll be jolly good. Also, I love the idle animations of them. They're just going like, oh yeah, 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 yeah. We're gonna poke ya. We're gonna poke ya good. Get off me island. I mean, I guess it's a little bit anachronistic for two-handed pikes to show up in the early medieval period, but you know what? Spears were around. Also, this, of course, isn't exactly historical because of all these islands and such. But, you know, I love nitpicking, clearly. Poke, 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 poke. And one more. I'm just zoomed in because who cares? And love how they ain't no dummies. They lower their pikes and they're ready for the charge. Oh, it's just 3 of you, is it? Oh, you picked the wrong island to invade. Oh, getting cold feet? You should have stayed home. It is very satisfying, that victory thing. And we have the Ring of Command, which means that one of our squads can have more dudes in it. You gotta love having more dudes. And can we afford to upgrade anything? We cannot. Alright, but we are going to give the Ring of Command to, I seem to recall, Devon. You've also got to love the faces on these squads. They're really good. They're really good. Are you going to chance it? Are you going to frickin' chance it? Think you might chance it. Whee! So, as ever, I'm not an expert on this game that we see here. But... what was I gonna say? I was gonna say that, like, yeah, like, I'm not sure what the balance is between having multiple squads and having upgraded squad is. I think there is a balance to be struck. These shield Vikings, I do have to say, are a pain in the ass. Because they're tough and they're arrow-proof. And they're tough enough to occasionally, like, break through into a pike formation, which I hate. Charge! Yay! And just let's see these little dudes run around doing little dude things. Little dudes! Yay! Dumpty Dumpty Doo. And this is now me trying to predict where that boat's going, so my little guys don't get run over by it. Also, you gotta love how just simplistic this game is, but, like, it is what it is, and it doesn't need to be more than that, you know? Really doesn't. That's a lot of Vikings on a big boat. You know what that means? We're gonna have to kill them as soon as they get off the big boat. Because that's how it works. Hell yeah. Maybe I shouldn't have charged them. Maybe that was a dumb idea. Oh well. It is what it is. It is what it is. It do what it do. Sometimes oh wow, that guy was tripping out. Yay! We almost lost a squad there, which wasn't smart. Beautiful music is played. And we got that one. And now we gotta pick. We gotta pick. And archers. Ganessa has seen some stuff, I can tell you that. Alright, so archers, I hate archers, and I think that it might entirely be possible to play through this game without them, because they're horribly inaccurate, and I think, like, shields and pikes is all you really need to get through. I'm biased. That might not be the case at all. There might be cases where you absolutely need them. Just chewing my lip for a little. Alright, Alright, let's keep talking about Vikings, because that's fun. Vikings also voyaged to Iran and Arabia. They were the first Europeans to reach North America, briefly settling in Newfoundland, which they called Vinland. While spreading Norse culture to foreign lands, they simultaneously brought home slaves, concubines, and foreign cultural influences to Scandinavia, influencing the genetic and historical development of both. Oh look, the archers are actually being kind of useful by shooting Vikings dead. Okay. During the Viking Age, the Norse homelands were gradually consolidated into smaller kingdoms, from smaller kingdoms into three larger kingdoms: Denmark, Norway, and Sweden. Are you gonna shoot some people? Yes, you are. Yay, look at me being tactical with my little dudes. The Vikings spoke Old Norse and made inscriptions in runes. For most of the period, they followed the Old Norse religion, but later became Christians. The Vikings had their own laws, art, and architecture. Most Vikings were also farmers, fishermen, craftsmen, and traders. Popular conceptions of the Vikings often strongly differ from the complex, advanced civilization of the Norsemen that emerges from archaeology and historical sources. You're telling me, like, most people have a really not accurate idea of what the hell Vikings were. A romanticized picture of Vikings as noble savages began to emerge in the 18th century. Ooh, here's a fun word for the people who don't know it. Historiography. The history of history writing. This is exactly what that is. It's just looking back on people, on how people have viewed history. Yay, we won! I wasn't even paying attention. That's how good my crew is. Began to emerge in the 18th century. This developed and became widely propagated during the 19th century Viking revival. Perceived views of the Vikings as violent, piratical heathens or as intrepid adventurers owe much to conflicting varieties of the modern Viking myth that had taken shape by the early 20th century. Current popular representations of the Vikings are typically based on cultural cliches and stereotypes, complicating modern appreciation of the Viking legacy. These representations are rarely accurate. For example, there is no evidence that they wore horned helmets, a costume element that first appeared in the 19th century. So that is one thing that this game I absolutely love, because the actual real Viking helmet, that spectacle thing, is way cooler than any horned helmet, because it's practical but also intimidating. It looks like they're wearing a mask and they're gonna really mess up your steez. And as you can see by Janessa's facial expression, she's seen that. There she is. That's why she's in the back with the archers, because she's seen a little bit too much Viking up close. I'm not sure what I'm insinuating. There we go. There's our friend there. I'm gonna park you there, block that off. And I think I realized slightly too late that the stairs are elsewhere. Poke, 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 poke. There we go. And I think this is where I realize, oh no, oh crap, oh damn, they're gonna go straight for me archers. Because stupid me, I thought they'd go for my dudes like honorable people, but nope. Nope. Assholes. Serious assholes, those Vikings. Like, really, like, they just go straight for your houses. Also, I'm not reading off Wikipedia now, this is what I know. The reason Vikings were feared in the early medieval period wasn't so much that they were great warriors or were especially good in a fight, or at least better than any other trained fighter like in the time period. What made them scary was that they hit you where you were vulnerable, and could appear just kind of anywhere at any time. That is what made them scary, because they could sail their longboats up rivers to, like, attack very far inland. They went for monasteries because they weren't Christian to start out with, so basically, yeah, they were scary because they were the boogeyman, not because they were, like, formidable fighters. In fact, the Viking Age kind of ended, partially because they converted to Christianity, but also because they got their asses handed to them by professional armies. So the Battle of Stamford Bridge is probably, like, that's the point in which people generally agree that's the end of the Viking Age. Because they just, well, they were caught literally with their pants down. They hadn't even put their armor on, and then Harold the Saxon walked up and just killed them all. And then Harold the Saxon got his ass kicked by William of Normandy, also known as William the Bastard, also known as William the Conqueror, because that's the point in which the early medieval tactic of the shield wall gave way to the combined arms of knights, archers, infantry, and slingers, as it turns out. The Battle of Hastings, Norman slingers played a part as well as everything else. Turns out that a Viking-style army can be beaten in part by throwing rocks at them. Who would have thought? Alrighty, so now we've got that, and one of my most hated enemies in this game is actually archers. I don't think we've run into them yet, but they're coming. Oh, they are coming. Believe me. Just gonna go there and do that. I want to keep reading Wikipedia. Alrighty, the essential three elements of the word Viking are the original meaning and derivation. Derivation? I've forgotten how to pronounce that word. Derivation or etymology, its medieval usage, and its current modern-day usage. According to some authors, these three elements are often confused in popular and scholarly discussions. Also, the etymology of the word has been much debated by academics, with many origin theories being proposed. The original meaning and derivation of the word Viking. Derivation? I think it's pronounced derivation. Archers, there they are. Man, they are really annoying, because you have to have shield bearers in order to deal with them. And they're just annoying, they run away from you a lot. They're a pain in the ass. Okay, so, original meaning and derivation of the word Viking. One theory suggests that the word's origin is from the Old English Viking and the Old Frisian Wising. I'm probably sure I didn't pronounce that correctly, which are almost 300 years older and probably derived from Wic, related to the Latin vicus, rather, which means village or habitation. Fun fact, if you see a V in Latin, it's pronounced like a W. So, Julius Caesar, or Julius Caesar, would have said Veni Vidi Vici when saying I came, I saw, I conquered, rather than what people think he said, which was Veni Vidi Vici. Veni Vidi Wiki. I'm a history nerd, can you tell? So, probably derived from Wic, related to Latin vicus, village or habitation. Another less popular theory is that Viking came from the feminine Vik, meaning creek, inlet, or small bay. How are we doing with the actual video game? We're doing great. It has been suggested that the word Viking, or Viking, may be derived from the name of the historical Norwegian district of Viken, meaning a person from Viken, but people from the Viken area were called Vikvere, Vik dwellers, not Viking, in Old Norse manuscripts. The explanation could explain only the masculine grammatical gender, Vikinger, and not the feminine Viking. I'm probably not pronouncing that right. The masculine is more easily derived from the feminine than the other way round. Another etymology that gained support in the early 25th century derives Viking from the same root as Old Norse vika, sea mile, originally meaning the distance between two shifts of rowers. From the root blah 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 blah, lots of words. I find this interesting, but I want to skip ahead a little bit. Basically, this is one of those examples where there's no way to be sure who exactly is right. All you can say is that historians, archaeologists, and people on the internet love to argue about this kind of thing. But there's no way to be sure where the word Viking comes from. Or Viking. Well, in the Middle Ages, all you really need to know is that Viking, or Viking, came to mean Scandinavian pirate or raider. So, there's that. And the modern usage is just barbarian blah 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 blah. History! Let's talk about Viking history. Where were they before they came and tried to take over me friggin' island, mate? Alright, the Viking Age in Scandinavian history is taken to have been the period from the earliest recorded raids by Norsemen in 793 until the Norman conquest of England in 1066. Told you! It's almost like I've read this Wikipedia page before, and also I have a master's degree in history, specializing in medieval crap, so that's nice. Ask me how that got me a job. It didn't. Anyway, Vikings used the Norwegian Sea and Baltic Sea for sea routes to the south. The Normans were descendants of those Vikings who had been given feudal overlordship of areas in northern France, namely the Duchy of Normandy in the 10th century. In that respect, descendants of the Vikings continue to have an influence in northern Europe. Likewise, King Harold Godwinson, the last Anglo-Saxon king of England, had Danish ancestors. Two Vikings even ascended to the throne of England, with Sven Forkbeard claiming the English throne in 1013 until 1014, and his son Knut the Great being king of England between 1016 and 1035. Geographically, the Viking Age covered Scandinavian lands, modern Denmark, Norway, and Sweden, as well as territories under North Germanic dominance, mainly the Danelaw, including Scandinavian York, the administrative centre of the remains of the Kingdom of Northumbria, parts of Mercia, and East Anglia. Now, Viking navigators opened the road to new lands to the northwest and east, resulting in the foundation of independent settlements in the Shetland, Orkney, and Faroe Islands, Iceland, Greenland, and Leandsø-Meadows, a short-lived settlement in Newfoundland, circa 1000. I friggin' hate how inaccurate my answers are. You mostly missed. The Greenland settlement was established around 980 during the medieval warm period, and its demise by the mid-15th century may have been partly due to climate change. Which makes sense because in the mid-15th century, I'm not reading off Wikipedia anymore, by the way, in the mid-15th century, the climate got colder, and that's partially why the late Middle Ages were kind of a shite time to be alive, is because as well as the Black Death, and the 100 Years' War, and the War of the Roses, and all that tremendously not fun stuff, you've got, well, just a lot of problems, really, such as climate change. It got cooler. So harvests failed, and it was cold and wet, and just generally a bad time. Okay, what was I talking about? The Viking Rurik dynasty took control of territories, I can't read anymore, in Slavic and Finnic-dominated areas of Eastern Europe. They annexed Kiev in 1882 to serve as the capital of the Kievan Rus. How are you doing, guys? Are you defending those islands well? Bravo! Well done. Well done indeed. Jolly, jolly good. Right, as early as 839, when Swedish emissaries are first known to have visited Byzantium, Scandinavians served as mercenaries in the service of the Byzantine Empire. In the late 10th century, a new unit of the imperial bodyguard formed. Traditionally containing large numbers of Scandinavians, it was known as the Varangian Guard. The word Varangian may have originated in Old Norse, but in Slavic and Greek it could refer either to Scandinavians or Franks. In these years, Swedish men left to enlist in the Byzantine Varangian Guard in such numbers that in medieval Swedish law, the Vasgotalagen from Vasa Gotland declared no one could inherit while staying in Greece, the then Scandinavian term for the Byzantine Empire, to stop the immigration. Damn. Especially as two other European courts simultaneously also recruited Scandinavians. Kievan Rus circa 980 to 1060, and London from 1018 to 1066. So the Vikings were in demand, actually. It's like, hey, okay, maybe I was a little bit unfair. Maybe people were like, damn, these Northmen are tough. We should hire them for stuff. These Northmen are tough. Let's hire them for stuff. Okay. I should probably talk about the video game now, since this is almost over. So yeah, this game is a delight. And it's like, here's the thing. I love games which can, like, pique interest in historical events, and this game definitely is like that. Nothing like this, as I recall, ever really happened in real life as, like a mass Viking invasion, like, of this scale that's depicted in this game. But, this game really does give you the sense of the dread that people would have felt, when they saw the sails of longships on the horizon, assuming they were lucky to see them at all. Also, fun nautical fact, I don't know why this particular video has turned into History Facts 101, but if you compare the shape and construction of a Viking longship, or a Viking longship, or early medieval Scandinavian longship, like depending on how, on what exact way you want to annoy historians, and you compare that to a Maori waka, which is a war canoe of the Maori, the indigenous peoples of New Zealand, you'll see that it's very similar. So, quite long, broad, shallow draft, can be beached easily, can go up rivers, and it's because they had a very similar function. They were both raiding craft, so to speak. Like, you get your lads, and you get in your big canoe-shaped thing, and then you can very sneakily, like, creep up the coast to go raid a rival town or village, or you can even carry it over land, or take it up rivers and stuff like that. And Viking longships were even cunning in that, like, you know, the mast could be popped off so they could sail under bridges and stuff like that. So yeah, it's interesting that convergent engineering, almost, is something that is observable, like, throughout history. You see similar problems, like, encountered by very different peoples, but they discover a very similar solution. So yeah. Trying to think of another good example of that. What is another good example of that? Can't think of one engineering-wise. I think perhaps the arch in engineering is probably one of those things. It's just people cottoned on here, there, and everywhere that, hey, actually, if you cut stones the right way, then, like, you can pretty much have them support way more weight than they could otherwise. So, I think those famous earthquake-proof walls in Peru that the Inca built which is just a whole bunch of, like, non-regular stones matched together, like, very exactly. That is, I think that is also evident elsewhere. I don't remember where, but it turns out it's just a very clever way of making a very strong wall. Regular bricks are easy to manufacture, and it makes the wall really easy to build, well, easier at least. But the thing is less strong as a direct result, so it depends on what your priorities are, I guess. Modern buildings, I have to say, are really tend to prioritize cheapness and expediency of building them over them lasting any length of time. It's a bit of a shame, but also, in the modern day, you have to remember, pretty much any building that gets built is going to have to get torn down eventually, so yeah. Also, I love the blood effects in this game. Like, you can tell there's been a fight here. Hell of a fight. Lots of dead Northmen here, there, and everywhere. You think they'd give up, but I guess they just don't stop coming, and they don't stop coming. Fed to the rules, and I hit the ground running. Is that how Smash Mouth goes? I'm not sure if that is how Smash Mouth goes. But that just about does it for this little roguelike slash RTS commentary. Do we do another one? We do not. So that just about does it for Bad North. Like, I guess I could have talked about the game a lot more, but I felt inspired to talk about Vikings in general, because Vikings are cool. They're interesting. It's a interesting period of history to study, to read about, to think about. So, and this game, I like this game, if nothing else, because it kind of puts you in the shoes of the ones dealing with Viking invasions and raids back in the day. It's not 100% historical accurate, of course, but it's not trying to be. It's the vibe, that's the thing. So, on that merry note, thank you all so much for watching. Please like and comment, and subscribe if you want to, and I will see you in whatever game comes next. Farewell!